My name is Ryan, and I'm 29 years old. Until last year, I thought I understood what family meant. Not the picture-perfect version, but the kind where you're willing to carry more than your share just to keep things running smoothly. I was always the reliable one, the quiet, responsible son who made sure birthdays were remembered and loose ends were tied up. But I never thought I'd end up being the one holding the entire family together while they barely acknowledged I existed. Growing up, I was the middle child. My older brother, James, was the golden boy, varsity football star, always surrounded by friends, effortlessly charming. My younger sister, Lily, was the family princess, spoiled from day one. And me? I was the one who got B-plus grades and was told I wasn't living up to my potential. It didn't bother me much then. I kept my head down, worked hard, and eventually landed a scholarship to a state university. College was my way out. I scraped by on ramen, worked part-time tech jobs, and pulled 16-hour days trying to get my IT startup off the ground. After 3 years of rejections and sleepless nights, the business finally took off. Suddenly, I wasn't just scraping by. I was thriving. And that's when my family remembered I existed. At first, the requests were small. Dad asked if I could cover the rest of James's car payments, just until he got promoted. Then Mom needed help with the roof repair, followed by Lily's private college tuition. I didn't mind at first. I was grateful to be in a position to help. I even convinced myself I was building something meaningful, a legacy, maybe. But the pattern didn't stop. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was practically funding 3 households. It wasn't just the big stuff either: groceries, utilities, even the occasional weekend getaway they wanted to take. I didn't complain. I kept telling myself that family helps each other. But the way they treated it, like it was expected, started eating away at me. The breaking point came last Thanksgiving. I finally had a house big enough to host, so I planned the whole thing: catered food, a backyard fire pit, decorations. I wanted it to be special. Nobody offered to help. James made a toast halfway through, talking about how family always sticks together and supports one another, never once mentioning that I paid for everything. Lily brought her new boyfriend and barely looked up from her phone. Dad spent the entire night reminiscing about how tough his life had been, dismissing anything I tried to share. I swallowed the frustration, kept a polite smile, and told myself it was just one evening. But something shifted inside me that night, a quiet realization that no matter how much I gave, it would never be enough. 2 months later, on a random Tuesday evening, I came home from a long meeting to find a voicemail from Dad. His tone was sharp and bitter. "All you do is take. You've never given this family anything worth remembering. If you had any pride, you'd stop acting like we owe you something and just leave." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I replayed the message 3 times, each time feeling a deeper sting. I wasn't even angry, just numb. I stared at my reflection in the dark window, trying to figure out how it had come to this. I had given so much: my time, my money, my effort, only to be accused of taking. That night, I made a decision. I packed a bag with just the essentials, left a note for my assistant to pause all payments tied to family accounts, and left. No dramatic goodbye, no final confrontation. Just a clean, silent break. I didn't expect to hear from them right away. I figured they wouldn't even notice. Days passed, then a week. Nothing. No texts, no calls. It took them almost a month to realize something was wrong. The first one to reach out was Lily. She called me late on a Friday night, her voice shaky. "Ryan, I just logged into my school portal, and my tuition didn't go through. Did something happen with the account?" I replied with a single text. "Thought I never gave this family anything." No response. Within an hour, I had missed calls from Mom, James, and a number I didn't recognize. Then came a voicemail from Dad, almost comical in its indignation. "Ryan, we need to talk. Whatever this little stunt is, it's not funny. Your sister's future is on the line." Not one apology, just demands. It was always about what I could do for them. They still didn't see me as a person, just a resource. That weekend, I booked a flight to Denver. I'd never been before, but I needed somewhere far away to clear my head. I rented a small Airbnb with a view of the mountains and spent my days walking through the city, just letting my thoughts untangle. For the first time in years, I didn't feel obligated to fix anything or anyone. I just existed, and it felt liberating. Back home, reality hit them hard. Lily's college threatened to suspend her for non-payment. James's car was repossessed, and Dad missed the mortgage payment. They started calling everyone in the extended family, spinning the story to make it sound like I had lost my mind and abandoned them. One of my cousins, Emma, texted me. "I heard what happened. Just know, not everyone believes their version. You did more for them than anyone else would." Her words stung because they reminded me that the people I had sacrificed for never saw my effort as something special. They saw it as their right. That night, I looked out at the Denver skyline, letting the cold air ground me. I didn't feel guilty for leaving, I just felt free. For the first time, I wasn't the silent giver, the quiet fixer. I was just Ryan, and I was done being used. Denver turned out to be exactly what I needed, a place to think without the weight of family expectations hanging over me. I spent my days hiking, exploring local coffee shops, and just letting myself breathe. It felt strange not to be constantly checking my phone for demands or guilt trips. One evening, as I sat on a bench overlooking the mountains, I got a call from Emma. I hesitated before picking up, but curiosity got the best of me. "Hey, Ryan. Just wanted to check in. Everyone's talking about you disappearing." I laughed, though it wasn't really funny. "Did they say why?" She sighed. "They're spinning it like you just abandoned them without warning. Your dad's especially vocal, saying you left them high and dry after everything they did for you." My jaw tightened. Everything they did for me? Like what? Taking advantage of me for years? Emma didn't hesitate. "I know the truth. I've seen how much you did for them. They just never appreciated it. You're not crazy for leaving, Ryan. You did more than enough." Her words gave me some comfort. "Thanks, Emma. I just couldn't take it anymore. They never saw me as anything but a way to make their lives easier." She was quiet for a moment. "You know, you're not the first one to feel that way. My mom always said your parents expect too much from you, like it's your duty to fix their problems. I guess it finally broke you." We talked for a while, and by the time we hung up, I felt less alone. Someone else finally acknowledged that I wasn't just being selfish or overreacting. A few days later, I got an unexpected email from Lily. The subject line read, "Please just hear me out." She wrote about how everything was falling apart. Without my financial help, James was struggling to keep his job, and their parents were considering taking out another mortgage just to cover expenses. "I didn't realize how much you were doing for all of us," she wrote. "I always thought you just had everything figured out, like it wasn't a big deal for you. I'm sorry for taking it for granted." I couldn't tell if I believed her apology. Was she genuinely sorry, or just desperate because she didn't want her life disrupted? I didn't reply. I needed time to process what I was feeling. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying all the times I had sacrificed my own comfort just to keep them happy. Birthdays, holidays, emergencies, I was always the one to step up. Now that I was gone, they were finally realizing what I'd been doing all along. The next morning, I went for a hike to clear my head. As I reached the summit, I let out a deep breath and thought about what Emma had said. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't selfish. I had given more than most people would, and it was okay to walk away when it was breaking me. When I got back to the Airbnb, I saw a new message from James. It was blunt. "You need to come back and fix this. You can't just leave us hanging. We're family." I almost laughed. The audacity to demand that I fix the mess when I wasn't the one who created it. I didn't reply. I knew that engaging would only drag me back into the cycle I had fought so hard to escape. The next few days were peaceful. I spent more time exploring the city, meeting new people, and enjoying the freedom of not being on call for someone else's crisis. I realized that I had been living in survival mode for so long that I didn't even know how to just be happy. Then, one evening, I got a voicemail from Dad. His tone wasn't angry this time, it was almost resigned. "Ryan, I know you probably hate me right now. I didn't realize how much you were carrying. I guess I thought you didn't mind helping out. We never meant to push you away. Please, just call back when you're ready." I couldn't help but feel conflicted. Part of me wanted to believe him, but another part remembered how many times I had been guilt-tripped before. I didn't want to fall back into that trap. I decided to respond, but on my own terms. I sent him a short text. I needed to take a step back because I was drowning in everyone else's problems. "I'm not coming back just to fix things. You all need to learn to manage without me. He didn't reply right away, and I didn't wait for a response. Instead, I focused on enjoying my time in Denver, reminding myself that I didn't have to justify taking care of my own well-being. That night, I finally slept without waking up in a panic. I wasn't running away from my problems. I was taking control for the first time. I wasn't going to let guilt pull me back into being the family's go-to fixer. It was time they learned to stand on their own. After a few more peaceful days in Denver, I felt more like myself. I wasn't constantly looking over my shoulder, waiting for another demand or guilt trip. The space gave me clarity. I realized that for years, I had been carrying my family's problems without ever considering my own well-being. One evening, as I was getting ready to go out, I got a call from Emma. She sounded hesitant. "Ryan, I just got off the phone with your dad. He's not doing great. He sounds genuinely sorry this time." I didn't know how to feel. "What did he say?" "He admitted that they took you for granted. He's been calling everyone, saying he messed up and didn't realize how much pressure they put on you." I didn't respond right away. Part of me wanted to believe it, but another part stayed cautious. "Did he say why he's suddenly realizing this?" Emma sighed. "Honestly, I think it's because everything's falling apart without you. James is barely holding his job, and Lily might have to drop a semester. Your dad said he thought you liked helping because you never complained." Hearing that stung. I kept quiet not because I liked being used but because I thought it was my role to keep the peace. I just didn't think it would ever change, so I stayed quiet. Emma's voice softened. "It's not your fault. They should have seen how much you were doing without you having to spell it out." After hanging up, I took a long walk to clear my head. I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and relief. Anger that it took me leaving for them to see my worth, and relief that they were finally acknowledging it. The next morning, I woke up to another text from Dad. "We miss you, Ryan. Please just come home and let's figure this out. We were wrong." I didn't reply. Instead, I called Emma to get more context. She explained that after my departure, they scrambled to cover the expenses I used to handle. They had to ask extended family for help, which bruised Dad's pride. "They thought you'd just come back when things got tough," Emma said. "They didn't expect you to actually leave for good." I didn't know whether to feel justified or sad. I had spent years putting my family first, and it took my absence for them to realize how much I'd been doing. That afternoon, I sat by the river, watching the sunlight bounce off the water. For the first time, I wasn't thinking about how to fix someone else's mess. I was just present. It felt good. A part of me wanted to go back and see if things could change, but another part knew that stepping back had been the healthiest decision I'd made in years. I didn't want to lose my family, but I wasn't willing to lose myself again to keep them afloat. When I got back to the Airbnb, I saw a new voicemail from Dad. His voice sounded tired, almost broken. "Ryan, I don't know how to make this right. I pushed you too hard. I see that now. Just please let me know you're okay. I don't want to lose you." I sat on the edge of the bed, processing his words. I hadn't heard him sound that vulnerable in years. Maybe he really was starting to understand. That night I finally replied. "I'm safe. I just needed space to find myself. I'm not coming back to be your problem solver. If you want me back, it has to be different." I didn't expect a reply right away, but it felt good to set that boundary. For once, I wasn't just giving in. I was making it clear that my well-being mattered too. The next morning, I woke up to a simple message from Dad. "Understood. Take your time. We're here when you're ready." It wasn't a grand apology or a sudden change of heart, but it was enough for now. I decided to stay in Denver a little longer, giving myself the time to heal without rushing back into old patterns. I wasn't done being just Ryan yet. After that message from Dad, I felt a strange mix of relief and skepticism. Part of me wanted to believe they were genuinely trying to change, but I knew better than to rush back without setting some boundaries first. I stayed in Denver a few more weeks, focusing on myself and learning how to just be without constantly worrying about someone else's problems. It was refreshing to prioritize my own needs for once. I took up hiking more seriously, finding that the quiet of the trails helped clear my mind. One afternoon, while taking a break at a viewpoint, I saw another text from Dad. "We're trying to figure things out here. It's not the same without you. We miss you." I hesitated before replying. "I miss you too. But things can't go back to the way they were." I can't be responsible for everyone's problems anymore. To my surprise, Dad replied right away. We understand. We didn't realize how much pressure we put on you. We just thought you didn't mind helping. I took a deep breath. That seemed to be the root of the issue. They assumed my silence meant I was okay with it. I texted back. Just because I didn't complain doesn't mean I was okay. I kept quiet because I didn't want to cause more stress. There was a long pause before he responded. We're sorry, son. We should have asked how you were feeling instead of assuming. That felt like progress, but I still wasn't ready to return. I needed to make sure they really understood that this time things had to be different. That evening, I called Emma to update her. She seemed genuinely happy to hear that Dad was starting to come around. Maybe this break was exactly what they needed to see things clearly, she said. I agreed. I just don't want to go back to the same old patterns. I've finally found a bit of peace here. She hesitated before asking, do you think you'll go back eventually? I thought about it. Maybe. But not until I know they respect my boundaries. I'm not their safety net anymore. That night, I decided to write down what I wanted to say to my family when I eventually returned. I listed out my feelings, my boundaries, and what I needed from them to feel respected. It wasn't just about saying sorry, it was about real change. The next day, I texted Dad. When I come back, we need to have an honest talk. No more brushing things under the rug. If we're going to move forward, it has to be different. He replied almost immediately. Agreed. We owe you that. Just let us know when you're ready. For once, I felt like they were starting to see me as an adult with my own needs, not just a fixer they could rely on. It wasn't perfect, but it was a step in the right direction. I knew that going back wouldn't be easy, but I wasn't the same person who left. I had finally learned to put myself first, and I wasn't about to let that go. After weeks of reflection and setting my boundaries, I finally felt ready to go back home. I booked a flight and texted Dad to let him know. Coming back this weekend. We need to have that talk. I'm not staying if things go back to how they were. His reply was simple. We'll be ready. Just come home safe. The flight back felt different from when I left. I wasn't anxious or weighed down by guilt. Instead, I felt prepared to stand my ground and make sure my needs were heard this time. I wasn't going back to be their problem solver. I was going back to rebuild on my terms. When I arrived at my parents' house, they were waiting on the porch. Dad looked older than I remembered, and Mom's eyes were puffy as if she'd been crying. I gave a small wave, not sure what to expect. They led me inside, and we sat around the dining table, the same spot where so many arguments had happened. This time, though, the tension was different, softer, almost cautious. Dad spoke first. Ryan, we know we can't undo what happened, but we've been doing a lot of thinking. We pushed you too hard, and we didn't see how much it was hurting you. Mom nodded, wiping her eyes. We just assumed that because you were successful, you didn't need support. We never asked how you felt about being the one holding everything together. I took a deep breath. That's the problem. You never asked? You just assumed I was okay because I didn't complain. I didn't want to be a burden, so I just kept going. But it broke me, and I had to leave to protect myself. Dad looked down, guilt written on his face. We took advantage of you, Ryan. We didn't see it that way, but that's what it was. You shouldn't have been carrying our problems on top of your own. It was good to hear him admit it, but I needed more. I'm not here to pick up where I left off. I'm willing to be part of the family, but not as your go-to fixer. I need you to respect my boundaries. Mom looked at me, finally understanding. We will. We just didn't know how much we were asking of you. You've done so much, and we never really thanked you. I'm sorry. We talked for hours, laying out everything that had been swept under the rug for years. I told them how it felt to be treated as an afterthought while still being expected to take care of everyone. They apologized, not just with words but with genuine understanding. When I mentioned that I wouldn't be financially supporting them anymore, Dad nodded. We've already started making adjustments. We can't rely on you to fix everything. It wasn't fair to you. Hearing that felt like a weight lifted. It wasn't just about money. It was about them finally seeing me as more than just their support system. As I left that night to head to my own place, Dad hugged me tightly. We're proud of you, son. Not just for what you've done for us, but for standing up for yourself. You deserve better from us. I drove home feeling like, for the first time, they truly saw me, not just as the dependable son, but as a person with limits and feelings. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. After that long conversation, I felt cautiously optimistic. My parents seemed to genuinely understand where they had gone wrong. For the first time, I felt like they weren't just apologizing to smooth things over. They were actually reflecting on their behavior. The next few weeks were quiet. Mom called every few days, but she didn't push. Dad texted me once in a while, just checking in. I appreciated that they weren't overwhelming me with guilt or demands. It was a refreshing change. One Saturday morning, I got a call from James. I hesitated before picking up, unsure of how the conversation would go. "Hey, Ryan. Just wanted to see how you're doing." He started, his tone surprisingly calm. "I'm good," I replied cautiously. "What's up?" James let out a sigh. "I talked to Mom and Dad. They told me about your conversation. I didn't realize how much pressure they put on you. I guess I didn't think about how hard it must have been, being the one everyone leaned on." His honesty caught me off guard. It wasn't just them. You and Lily relied on me too. I didn't mind helping sometimes, but it was like everyone expected it all the time. He stayed silent for a moment. "You're right. I didn't see it that way. I guess because you never said no, I just assumed you didn't mind. I should have checked in more, instead of just taking it for granted." I appreciated him admitting that. I just needed to be seen as more than the guy who fixes things. I wanted to be part of the family, not just the problem solver. James sighed. "I get it now." "I do. I'm going to do better. You deserve to be appreciated for who you are, not just for what you do for us." We talked a bit more, mostly catching up on normal things, work, hobbies, life. It felt good to have a conversation that wasn't clouded by guilt or expectations. When we hung up, I felt hopeful. Maybe things really could change. That evening, I met up with Emma for coffee. I told her about the call with James, and she smiled. "See? Sometimes stepping back makes people realize what they took for granted. You're doing the right thing by setting boundaries." I nodded. It feels weird not being the one holding everything together, but it's also kind of nice. Like, I finally get to focus on myself. She patted my shoulder. "You deserve that. Don't let them pull you back into the same role. Make sure they know that you're done being their safety net." As I drove home, I realized how much lighter I felt. It wasn't about cutting my family off completely. It was about making sure they respected me as an individual, not just a source of help. Later that night, I got a text from Dad. "Thanks for giving us another chance. We know it'll take time, but we're committed to doing better. Love you." For once, I didn't feel burdened by the message. I simply replied, "Love you too. Let's keep moving forward." I knew it wasn't a perfect resolution, but it was a start. I wasn't rushing to forgive everything, but I was willing to see if they would change. For now, that was enough. As the weeks went by, I noticed a genuine change in how my family treated me. They reached out, but not with demands, just to check in and see how I was doing. It felt different, more balanced. I was still cautious, but I allowed myself to slowly rebuild that connection. One Sunday, Dad invited me over for dinner. I hesitated at first, but he assured me it would just be a small, relaxed get-together. I decided to go, wanting to see if they meant what they had promised. When I arrived, the atmosphere was surprisingly light. Mom was cooking, and Dad was setting the table. James and Lily were already there, chatting casually. No one was rushing to make me feel guilty or overwhelmed. During dinner, Dad brought up something that caught me off guard. "Ryan, I've been thinking about what you said, how we never saw how much we were leaning on you. I didn't realize how one-sided it felt until you left." I nodded, letting him continue. He looked genuinely remorseful. "We're making changes. I've been talking to James about managing his expenses, and Lily is taking on a part-time job to help cover her tuition. It's not fair to put it all on you." Hearing that made me feel more optimistic. "That's good to hear. I just needed to know that I wasn't expected to handle everything. I can help sometimes, but it can't be my responsibility alone." Mom chimed in, her voice softer. "We didn't think about how it felt from your perspective. We just assumed you were fine because you never said anything. I'm sorry for not checking in with you." I appreciated their honesty. I didn't speak up because I thought it would cause more problems. I didn't want to be the one to break the peace. James nodded. I get that now. I never thought about how much pressure we were putting on you just because you always seemed strong. As we finished dinner, I felt hopeful. We weren't pretending that everything was perfect, but we were acknowledging the issues and making an effort to change. That was more than I expected. Before I left, Dad pulled me aside. I know we still have work to do, but I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. You deserve better from us. That simple admission meant more than I could express. I hugged him, feeling like maybe we were finally on the right path. Driving home, I felt a sense of closure. Setting boundaries didn't mean abandoning my family, it just meant making sure they respected me. I wasn't the silent giver anymore. I was Ryan, and I deserved to be seen and valued. That night, I got a text from James. Thanks for giving us a chance to make things right. I'm proud of you, man. I smiled and replied. Proud of you too. Let's keep working on this. For the first time in years, I felt like I had found my place, not as the family's safety net, but as an equal. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. I wasn't just a reliable son anymore. I was finally myself.